Manchester United in talks with both Emi Martinez and Sen Lammens over a deal to bring a keeper into the club. Definitely an ongoing situation, so I wanted to make this video to talk about it briefly, give some short updates, and talk about why that is happening and exactly what they're looking at. It's not necessarily being confusing why United are looking at that. United have been looking for a keeper for a long time. Obviously, very recently, it was again confirmed that they're going to go for a keeper this summer, and they made an extra push for Lammens. However, there has been some difficulty in getting a deal for Lammens over the line. As I've described in recent videos, there's been a couple of problems. Number one, Galatasaray coming in for Lammens for the deal to Antwerp has complicated the price, the costs, and the situation. They've been pushing that price kind of higher and higher with Antwerp rather, believing that if they wait out till the Turkish window, then of course they'll get that higher price from Galatasaray, or it'll push United higher and higher. Now, United are still in talks over this, and I believe at the moment still have sort of a standing offer in place. I'm led to believe as well, on the standpoint of Lammens, that there are even issues over, some of the personal terms and things like that. I mentioned this in the live a couple of days ago. I think it was on Saturday, that potentially some issues there with, wanting some certain guarantees or certain things that, well, I guess personally I would give those guarantees, but still I can understand if the club aren't of a perspective to give certain things, or I don't know all of the details, but there are certain things being asked for that apparently they hadn't totally agreed to yet. So complicated on both fronts. Now, as of today, United have agreed personal terms with Emi Martinez and are exploring a move. They're re-looking at a loan move. I'm not sure if they're still looking at a permanent. They might be as well, looking at the possibility of sending Jadon Sancho the other direction. Two, this is being explored, but what is certain is that there is an acceptance and an insistence that a keeper is needed from within the club. I'm not sure where or who or how exactly it was seen to even be something they could put off before this, because I know for a fact that they've been looking at keepers all year. So I don't know if it was Amorim. I don't know if it was someone else who was saying it can wait, it can wait, it can wait. But seemingly everybody's on the same page that a keeper must be brought in before the end of the window. Now, no deal is done at this point, but United are in very active discussions with both Antwerp and Aston Villa over a deal at this point in time. Obviously, that can only be a good thing, representing, alternative choices. If it opens the door for Villa to potentially get Lammens, then that will make it easier to bring Emi Martinez in. Now, we can definitely question that. We can definitely question it. We can look at that and say, well, should we not just get the younger keeper? But I do believe there's obviously some debate in an area like this as to when you're talking about goalkeepers, should you get the younger keeper? Should you get the experienced one? Given what we've seen so far, United are this season already terrible on certain aspects, mostly set pieces, right? This is the biggest thing. Dead balls, corners, set pieces. This has been killing us so far, and frankly has already changed multiple results. So then the question is, maybe it's just better to get somebody to come in who you are certain will make an instant impact. And I want to look at some of the numbers on that to kind of talk it through. If we just compare for the first case, Emi Martinez and Onana, you're not going to see a massive difference here on these kinds of stats. Martinez did have a better season kind of regardless. But when you look at United this season so far, already United have conceded twice off of set pieces, and once, and that's just the Premier League, and once against Grimsby as well. So when you factor all of that in, United are 3 goals conceded on set pieces already out of 6. That's crazy. Half of the goals we've conceded already have come via set pieces. That's just way too much. We're not really conceding many chances from open play. I think we conceded 1 chance from open play versus Burnley. I think we conceded 1 chance from open play even versus Grimsby. And I think that against Arsenal, we conceded basically 0 from open play. Even the Fulham game itself, when you look at it, yes, the goal was scored from open play. Don't get me wrong. However, if you look at the bad spells that we had, a lot of them were down to corners, shambolic goalkeeping on the corners, resulting in more possession, more attacks, more chances, more chaos, and of course the lack of confidence that comes from that in the defenders, the being scared to do this, the being scared to just kick the ball out because you think a set piece is almost a penalty, and it frankly is. So United have been very poor there, and that's where I think obviously the set pieces come into play. When you look at Onana, his stats when you talk about crosses being faced, crosses stopped, all of that are among the worst in football. They're just terrible. Based on an enormous number of minutes, he just doesn't really have anything particularly going for him in terms of those kinds of stats. We've seen he's fairly hapless in the box. With Bayindir, we have a limited measure, and we're still seeing fairly mediocre results there. And from crosses, it's even worse. And you can even see with Bayindir, his saves are not been that bad in terms of the numbers in the small minutes that we have. His save numbers are not even terrible. His kick numbers are okay. But it is those crosses and set pieces and fumbling the ball that is still absolutely chaotic. You compare this to Lammens Martinez, and you look and say, well, he tends to be one of the best, if not the best keeper in the Premier League based on crosses. Now, I believe that to be true. I don't have the numbers on the screen here to show, but in terms of crosses stopped, if you look at some of the best teams in the Premier League, you have, David Raya, who stops 13% of crosses, Lammens Martinez at 11.2, even Robert Sanchez stops 12.7. And if you look at the number of goals conceded, I think coming from corners or directly, I think it's 10 for Onana, while Lammens Martinez is in the best in the league with just 2. So makes a big difference. Now, Lammens is very good in this aspect as well. If we take a look at his numbers, he's got very impressive stats. And obviously United have been trying to sign him, but he's got very impressive stats in terms of crosses stopped as well as his post-shot XG. Now you have to just bear in mind this is in a different league. This is in the Belgian league compared to knowing what you're getting in the Premier League. If we take a look at last season as a whole, United conceded 13 times from set pieces, only 29 from open play. So it's interesting because Arsenal actually ended up conceding quite a few from set pieces as well. But if you look at open play, United were not that bad. There are actually very few teams that conceded fewer goals than United from open play. Same number of open play goals conceded as Manchester City. Fewer than ever, they were third or fourth best in the league from open play, but set pieces were really, really poor. You can't do both poorly. Arsenal were the best in the league from open play, so they kind of got away with it. But you look down at Aston Villa, only 7 goals conceded from set pieces, among the best in the league there. So it kind of tells you that this is an area of focus. If we look at the games in general, Arsenal, you're probably turning a loss into a draw if you're good on set pieces. Grimsby probably doesn't happen without that. Fulham, the chaos that kind of ensued after a bright start to United may have been seen differently. Should United have been able to deal with sort of the barrage of corners better and not ending up continuously putting them out for more and more corners and more and more corners and more set pieces. And then, of course, against Burnley, you just don't get the chaos if you have some confidence in goal. So I know there's a lot of numbers and kind of stats and things like that about, errors leading to goals and things like that out there. But of course, I think it all has to be contextualized, really well. Because it's also about defending. If you look at United in general, if you look at United in general, we're not really giving up a ton of chances from open play. We're not really doing that. We're not letting so many chances go from open play that are letting that are putting us under pressure. In fact, the keepers don't even have that much to do, but it feels like every time we get a decent set piece or an attack, we concede. And a lot of that is down to the keepers and the confidence. So I think the weighing up here when we look at it in general is, do you go for the experience or do you go for the younger player? I don't think they're even necessarily deciding on that basis because they've been trying for both. And I think it's more the matter of they would trust either of them to come in and provide a more commanding box presence, stop some shots, and essentially stop the bleeding on set pieces and bottling the corners and bottling the dead ball situations. That alone, I think, cuts the goals United concede in half and would earn us probably at minimum a draw and maybe even another win this season so far in the games that we've had. So this is a very active situation. Again, I don't know why it even got put off, given that it was viewed as a major issue for quite some time. We've seen it to start the year. So many things down to the goalkeeping errors and down to poor goalkeeping. So United, they're in talks still with Lammens. They have that offer kind of standing on the table. They're in talks with Aston Villa. I think they're going to get one of these over the line before tomorrow. And we come back from the international break, having a new number one in the net, I think is going to make a world of difference to this team, its confidence, and its ability to essentially not implode at the slightest breeze. Something that should have happened already and would give us a bit more positivity in this season, but looks like it's happening. Give me your thoughts on each. I'm really okay with either. I think the positive with Lammens Martinez is you know exactly what you're getting in the Premier League. He's probably the best keeper on crosses, set pieces, dead ball situations. You know you're getting that. You know you're getting a commanding voice. You know he's going to improve that dramatically. Lammens is probably a better option in the long haul in terms of all aspects of keeping and for the future, but there is the risk involved that he doesn't translate. He's young. He makes more mistakes. He struggles to put that skill set kind of together right off the bat at United, and you're back where you started for this season. Even if in the long run, I think he's going to be great. So it's a weighing up of the two choices. We don't know which will come in yet. Obviously, there's no guarantees one comes in, but there is a strong insistence and acceptance to bring one in now. So hopefully this gets over the line. Let me know your thoughts. Who would you prefer? Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on. See you in the next one.